Welcome back to this already the final segment of today's Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I've got Jeniece Primus on the program. She's with a company called Emphatic, and you can learn more about them at Emphatic, EMPHATIC.co. The Silicon Valley established company that's moved to Texas. And any listener of this program knows I'm interested in stories about businesses that either moved to Texas or came from other parts of the country to start in Texas because of the great business environment. And this is not only because I think it's a great for my audience, but also part of a book that I'm in the process of writing. I think about 40,000 words of that book done. We hope to have it ready for publication by the end of the year. And so this is going to kind of serve multiple purposes. But I love hearing real stories, true stories of people that have been really motivated to move to the great state of Texas. And with that, Jeniece, welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background before we get into the company itself.
Sure. So my background was in banking, and then I made a switch to PR when I moved to San Francisco. Prior to that, I'd been working in New York, and before that, I actually spent almost 7 years working in Europe and the Netherlands. So, it was really a corporate America kind of background before I decided to start my company, Emphatic.
Yeah, pretty unconventional. So where are you originally from again?
I'm originally from New York City.
Yeah, okay. And, I see here in your bio your parents actually have a small business in Brooklyn. And what was your educational background?
Sure. So I studied small business, first at the knees of my parents in their small business that they owned in Brooklyn for several years. But then I went and I studied it formally at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia.
Okay, very good. That frustrating Ivy League school that everyone thinks is a state college.
That's exactly right. Our sports programs are not quite as good as the other.
Well, I don't know. I think it holds its own. It's a great school, especially the Wharton Business School is, of course, phenomenal. So it holds its own. So tell us a little bit about, so you're in Silicon Valley, and I go to San Francisco pretty often. I go to California pretty often. Love going. I'm always ready to get back to Texas because Texas, I can't imagine ever living in California, particularly because of how difficult it is, and it's just a hard place to live, particularly San Francisco, and to do business even harder still. Did that play a role in your decision to move from there to create a startup?
Well, I think cities have, advantages and disadvantages. So the advantage in California and San Francisco and Silicon Valley is that there's no ceiling on the kind of ideas that you can have. People are used to being very innovative, and they're very encouraging about really kind of moonshot ideas, like the Elon Musk of the world. But on the flip side, if you're starting a business and you want to be pretty thrifty about how you get it up and running and managing your costs, San Francisco, Silicon Valley then become a very horrible place to locate yourself because the cost of living is so high. The cost of residential rent, the cost of office space, even the cost of food is a lot higher in San Francisco, than I had experienced in New York and in other places. So, for those reasons, those are really compelling reasons for us to try and find another location to locate ourselves.
Not to mention the tax and regulatory situation that constantly changes in California. Honestly, not so much in Texas. I think it would shock most, you may not be aware of this because you're not from here, but the Texas legislature only meets 180 days over a 2-year period. So even their capacity to create, mayhem that can ultimately hurt businesses like yours, they're not even able to do it because they're not even meeting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Whereas a state like California has a full-time legislature, it's pretty obvious by the regulatory and other things that come out of it that they're working full-time. No question about it. So you just sounded really on a very practical level, it made sense for you to seriously take a look at Texas.
Yeah, it did. And, there are a lot of other factors as well. Because it's also about a place that you're living and you're feeling comfortable with. So in addition to the cost, we looked at things like weather. We looked at how well the city itself was doing. There are a lot of, low-cost places like Detroit, for example, and the reason why they're low-cost is because there's a lot of blight. And, definitely applaud the efforts to revitalize places like that. But what was interesting about Dallas, especially for us, is that it was a reasonable cost of living, but a very thriving city at the same time. And, that weather is icing on top of the cake. The airline connections that it has with the DFW airport being so well connected to the rest of the world, and the diversity that it has, and, having people from all over the world and all over the country who are in this metro area was also something that was really compelling to us.
Yeah, that's interesting. So when you started this process, because you just pointed out there was two states you were playing with, California where you were, obviously that wasn't working quite right, and Texas being another that you looked at. But there were, as you pointed out, 48 other states and a plethora of cities in those states to look at. Did you have a list to start off with, and how long was that list as you began to knocking places down, eliminating places?
We threw ourselves wide open. There was really no place in the country that was off limits, from Detroit to Denver to, parts of Pennsylvania, even considering going back east to the New York, New Jersey metro area. And then down south, although we had never lived there before, things like New Orleans and Atlanta, really everything was on the table. And then, as we went through that list of factors that I mentioned, cost of living, having a great economy that's thriving because of a number of industries and not just one industry, and having diversity and good air connections. Really, when you go through a list like that, for us at least, everything gets knocked off except for, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, so you're saying DFW is head and shoulders above any of the other cities you looked at?
Definitely. For a city that is as well connected internationally, and I know, folks from the left and the right coast in the States may not believe it, but there is such a level of connectivity here because of that airport, because of all the Fortune 500s that are headquartered here. So when you take those things in combination, and if you want good weather, and if you want, still places to go out and have great restaurants and great entertainment experiences, they really do all combine to put Dallas head and shoulders, I think, above quite a few other options.
When did you make the move to Texas?
So we moved last August. So we're coming up almost on 1 year of being Dallasites.
Has it met or exceeded your expectations?
By far. I really didn't know what to expect. I had actually only been here once before for a very short business trip. So I literally knew nothing about what it would be like to live here. And it really has exceeded my expectations because people are very friendly. I think there's a lot of innovation going on, but there's also a very practical bent to it. So people here are very pragmatic about getting business done. And there are a lot of networking opportunities, a lot of good old-fashioned, handshaking and shoulder rubbing that goes on in this business environment that is very appealing, I think, as well. So it's been really great. I say the only thing I've had to get used to is driving quite a bit more.
No question about it. Although I will say driving in the San Francisco area is an absolute nightmare. But you probably didn't drive that much, did you?
A little bit. But yeah, the way that the highways have become really congested over the past few years is sort of another sort of detractor from what's going on out there right now.
Well, I was so excited about jumping into your story that we really didn't talk about Emphatic that much. Can you give us your elevator speech real quick?
Sure. So Emphatic is for small business owners who want to promote themselves on social media, but don't really have the time to do it. So we're an online service, and when you sign up with us, we'll create a social media strategy just for your business. And our writers, who are all based right here in the USA, will create and send you new Facebook and Twitter posts every week. And then we'll even post them for you, too. So that way, our social media team is helping your business to get more sales and more PR while saving you time. So, our clients love us. I mean, we've been in business since last year, and, they really range, everything from duck call makers to even some airlines and everything in between. So if your listeners want to try it out, we have a free trial, and they can sign up at emphatic.co, which is emphatic.co.
Love it. And by the way, I'm looking over there at emphatic.co, and I love the plans. The plans and pricing look very real world, which, that's always good to see, and it's very quantifiable what they get. So I encourage the listener to check it out. Thanks so much for being with us. I love your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, Jeniece Primus, she is again with Emphatic, and that's Emphatic, EMPHATIC.co, not .com, but .co. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
When we come back, much more for you on tomorrow's program. But while you wait 23 hours, do want to remind you the best stock to hear will be found over there at usdailyreview.com. Plus, we like to say the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com. And you have been listening to The Price of Business.